Hi everyone, welcome to a different type of video today, a behind the scenes video at Mr. Carlson's lab. So I'll show you what makes Mr. Carlson's lab tick. So this is the new lab here. So I'm standing way against the back wall here, and as you can see the lighting and cameras are ahead of me, and that is the new lab there. So what's off to the side here is just basically two storage bins. There's some audio equipment on this one and just things like cleaners and such on this, so nothing too special. There's a sink behind me here and a wall, and some of the things that I use to make some small circuit boards, things like that. Two scopes over there, a little bit of a battery charging station. This is nothing. I have a completely separate area with probably 10 or 15 different chargers for all the crazy different batteries that are needed to do all of this stuff. So many different types of batteries and specialized chargers and things like that. So the thing that I'm recording you on right now, which is an old camera, it's a Canon C100 Mark II. Again, you know, just different types of batteries. Everything has to have a different type of battery, it seems nowadays. So capacitor bin here, a really long hallway that goes way, way, way down. More storage area in there. As you can see, some equipment on the rise, stuff that's going to be used in future videos here. And yeah, lots of stuff there. So let's go take a trip around the corner here into the lab from the backside. So this is the opening where I normally walk in, if you can see that there. So this is where I normally walk into the lab. Beyond this here, so a lot of this stuff here is projects on the rise and stuff that has been done. So I don't have a dedicated area for stuff that's been done. I just remember and I go, okay, I'll put that on the shelf and we'll pull this off and do this. And that all has to do with, you know, your suggestions, and it has to do with, you know, what people seem to be interested in at the time. So I'll make a decision upon that and put it on the bench here. And of course it has to be fun for me to work on too, right? So this is the latest project. This is the BC348, and that's being worked on now. The dial here is going to pose a real pain. You'll remember me taking some of the glue off down here. Well, what they've done with this is they've pressed this brass collar onto a spline in here, and they've put a tapered pin through the shaft. So they have a little room here for a set screw, and they didn't even put a set screw in there right from the factory. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. So I'm going to have to make a special puller to get this off, because this is pressed onto a spline, and that is on there. So that should be fun. I may share that process as we're going through the Grand Receiver Restoration series. So that'll be a fun little tool to put together. Real customized tool, and I'll share that tool with you. So if any of you have a BC348 and you need to get this stuff off for any reason, that'd be a handy thing to have around. So, you know, just a standard bench here, the things that I use. A lot of people ask, you know, Paul, do you use all this equipment? Yes, I do. You've seen me use all of this at the previous lab, and a lot of this I use behind the scenes as well. So that camera there's a C200. Yeah, this is the C100 Mark II, the one that I'm using right now. This is a C200 right here. And you might be asking, well, why did you choose that sort of a camera? Well, basically just versatility. So it'll do 1080p 4K, it'll do everything, and then of course I can put the appropriate lens on so that I can get really close up and all that kind of stuff. And then of course, you know, there's other cameras here the same. So this one here is another one. This is the one that I often go mobile with, and it has a wireless mic on the top. So this is the adapter, so I can wear a wireless mic and walk around and have that. So this is another one there. And then of course this one here is the intro camera. So that's the intro and ending camera, and then of course, you know, wide angle lab shot camera, and you know, with multiple lenses all over the place or scattered everywhere. So you'll see here, this is the monitor that I'm usually looking at. So when I'm talking to you on the camera and I'm working on something, and you'll see me focused in like this, you'll notice that that monitor there will be just out of the shot. So you usually never see that in the shot. And as I'm talking to you with a wireless mic clipped to my chest, I'm looking at that as I'm talking to you. So that's how that works. And you know, I'll put it there, and sometimes I'll put it up on top and just wherever it works so that I can see what's going on as I'm doing this, because you always have to check for focus, and you always have to check for everything as you're doing this. One time I even thought of getting a pair of VR goggles and just putting that on, and then there is no way I cannot see what the camera is not seeing or seeing. So that way everything would continually be in focus, but that just turned out to be a big headache. So, and of course with the way I move around and everything, I'd probably reef on the goggles and drag the camera over or something like that, right? So these lamps here used to have really bad hot spots, and everybody complained about it. So I got these little dishes. These are disposable dishes that come with like basically you can buy them at the grocery store. They come with different types of food in them, and I just put 2 screws in them, and they acted as wonderful diffusers. These are focusable. You can see that they're flexible. So these were bought at IKEA, and they're nice lamps. The only problem is this little area, this plastic bracket, breaks all the time right in the pin, right at the center. So I've had a couple of those breaks, so you just have to be really careful. You can see that. It's really thin right here. I don't know if you can see that. Very, very thin with this really heavy spring in the center, and of course they break here. So that is the weak point of those, but other than those, they're really nice. And these lamps that you see right here are extremely nice as well. They change from warm to cold, so they got warm and cold LEDs, and they'll blend between the two. You can set the brightness up and the blend on the top there. And of course they're on their own little tripod, so they move around very nicely. So handy to have around the bench. You can move them all over the place. You see these standing mats? Those had good intention, and they feel really good to stand on. The only problem is you see the tripods? They interfere with them all the time. So now, instead of being comfortable, I've just pushed them in and I stand on the hard floor again. So I'll have to figure something out about that. So those are very comfortable. A lot of the times when I'm videoing down here, and you don't know that, I'll be standing here for 10 hours. So that's dedication. So there's more of a story behind all of that in the videoing for any of you that have done any of this. So I've been standing here for extremely long periods of time, depending on the video and what I'm doing, right? Just more stuff that's going to get done over here. And parts and pieces for what I'm doing at the bench over here. So you can see all the parts and pieces over here. Pardon the shake of the camera if you see that. I've got the stabilizer on, but this camera is just a little bit smaller than this one. Not much smaller. It looks pretty much the same actually. And it's pretty heavy. So I'm holding on to that right now by the grip on the side. As you see here, it has a grip. So I'm holding on to that with one hand and moving the other one around. So you can imagine what holding that thing is like. So it's that's why this might be a little bit unstable. Hopefully it's not too bad. Again, I have the image stabilizer on. So that's all parts and pieces back there. Again, capacitors, NTE, ECG, for those of you that remember that stuff. Some audio processing gear for the wireless mics, just simple stuff, just to make them sound better than what you hear right now on this thing. So this is just a Rode wireless mic with nothing done to it, no EQing or anything like that, and it's pointed at my face instead of pointing forward, because it is directional. So we go over here, and these are some more of the receivers that are going to be used in the Grand Receiver Restoration Series. So you'll see doubles and triples of some, because a lot of these are incomplete. Some are complete, things like that. So, you know, I need parts and pieces to make one good one out of a couple, just like the BC348 kind of deal. So some stuff that's going to be done. That should be a fun little restoration right there. Supposedly this came from a movie set. So I have this one here is missing the speaker in it. That's a rocket radio, by the way. So pretty collectible. And there's another one, if we go over here, there's another rocket radio right behind there. You might be able to see it. It's right behind the radio there. Anyways, that's parts for that other one. So that one's more original, but that silver one just looks so much better. Somebody put a lot of time into putting the silver on that. So yeah, this is the some of the projects that are coming up here. You may have seen this one here in the shot not too long ago. I recently got this one here. That should be a lot of fun to do a restoration on matching speaker. And as you can see, the schematics on top, I've already been looking at that. Little compressor for blowing dust off. Very flexible air line there. That green stuff is incredible. Some audio stuff over here. I do like my audio, so a bunch of tube amps behind there. I'll do that in a separate video. So those are for some what are they, Altec 604-8Gs. So I think they are 604-8s. They're right up here. Anyways, those are those. anyways, I haven't put those together yet. I got those a long time ago, and again, I'm making videos and designing circuits on Patreon, and doing videos for here and everything, so I don't have time for anything. And as I mentioned in my last Patreon video, which is just a day or two ago, is the I've got an older classic car, and it has a 1950s radio in it. I won't give it away because I'll do a video on it someday. It has a 50s radio in it. I've owned the car for years and I haven't even fixed the radio in it. Right? How does the saying go? The mechanic always drives a broken down car. Same thing, right? No time. I'm always making videos for you guys and doing the Patreon videos, so very little time. Manuals, lots of different types of manuals, Tektronix manuals, and all sorts of just different manuals and parts and pieces, project boxes and things like that in here. These are all drill bits for PC board drilling, and a little workstation here. So stuff behind the scenes that I found really funny. You see that wiring there? Isn't that atrocious? So when I got the place, that's the way it was. And I figure it's so incredibly bad. It's so opposite of anything that I would do. I just need to leave it alone and just come and look at it. It's my reference point. So, alarm system and internet cabling and everything there. Oh, look at these two handsome fellas right here. So, now a lot of the times you'll hear a bit of hum in my video, and you'll be asking me, Paul, your audio has changed. Let me turn this on. Paul, your audio has changed, and that's because of these two troublemakers right here. Let's put this down. Those two troublemakers right there are bolted to this wall, and those are two pumps for the geothermal system. So what ends up happening in this rather large furnace here, there's a really large compressor in the bottom of this thing, and there's an exchanger in there. So what this does is this pumps water. So it's basically water and alcohol. That's how all geothermal systems are. It pumps it through the earth. So there's a coil of piping through the earth. Lots and lots and lots of piping outside. And it takes the heat out of the ground in the wintertime and puts it through an exchanger coil here and makes heat. Okay, so a lot of people have questions about these things. Do they work? Yes, they do. The thing works really good. With my flare, a year ago, 2 years ago, I shot the surface of the snow, and it was like minus 20, the surface of the snow, and this thing was making heat from the ground, still with minus 20 on the top. So they work pretty good. The problem is they consume a lot of electricity. So if anybody tries to tell you that a geothermal system is a good thing, unless you've got cheap electricity, yeah. Natural gas. Don't ask me how I know this. So anyways, those pumps are bolted to this wall, and if we go to the other side of this wall, you can see that that wall is right behind all of this equipment here. And of course, if we walk over here, here's the lab, okay? So what ends up happening is when those pumps come on, they make this low-pitch hum noise, and they use the wall as some form of a speaker, okay? And because they're using the wall as a speaker, I have to watch my miking because you're going to be hearing all the time. So not a great thing. So I have to build a bracket here. I'm going to probably have to drill some holes in the concrete here, put some angle iron down, and bring that back from the wall. Just a matter, maybe a centimeter. That's it. Just so it doesn't touch the wall. Maybe tuck some insulation behind there, and it should be completely silent. And at that point, maybe I can go back to my vacuum tube microphone again. We'll see. So that's one of the reasons I'm using these wireless mics now, because this thing is, the furnace itself isn't bad. Like, has a compressor in it, and it's noisy, but there's, these boots here that separate the furnace from the piping. So the vibration is, not big deal because it's on a concrete floor, right? So that's not too bad. It's just that thing is terrible. So anyways, I got to figure out something about that. So yeah. Water tank de-superheater. So this takes waste heat from the compressor and preheats the water before it goes into this tank here. So that's what that is. That's known as a de-superheater. Strange stuff. So more stuff that's going to get worked on here. More stock and parts and pieces and things like that. Little sitting area here. So that's kind of a quick overview of the lab and what's going on behind the scenes here. So there is a completely separate area, again, where I do the circuit boards and I have different test equipment. Again, I'll do a tour of that area as well. And of course, there's more stuff down that hallway. So anyways, this is probably good enough for this video. So this is what happens. And this is what's going on here. So you know a little bit of why the miking is the way it is and the lighting is the way it is and everything else. So you have to keep in mind that when I was moving from the old lab to this one right here, all of this, I had to put this all together, and I did all of this by myself. All of this. I had a little bit of help lifting some of the stuff in here. That was really nice. Some friends helped with that. But everything, all the shelving, everything you see here, everything that's built was all put up, and I was doing that while I was making videos for here, and while I was making videos for Patreon, and while I was just doing regular life, pardon me, and all the other things that I do. So it's been a non-stop couple of years here, and it's still growing. I'm still not done. I have so much more to do. There's the shop as well. So, hey, you know what? Why don't we go to the shop and take a look around the shop, and I'll tell you a little bit what's going on there too. Welcome to the shop. Many of you will remember this area. I did my shop talk videos right over here. This is the door I just walked in over here. And when I do the shop talk videos, I normally just sit right there and share some of the interesting stories of my youth. So those of you that have seen the shop talk videos, you may remember the story where I talked about the fan blade that flew off. And of course, the time I got really badly zapped. I shared both of those stories. I have many more of those stories, again, of my crazy youth. So if you're interested in those and you like those stories, let me know in the comments below, and I'll put some more of those videos together soon and share some of that with you. This summertime, I put this whole shelving unit up here. So basically another layer, I guess you could say it. I got some square stock and put that big level up there, I guess you could call it that. And this is so I can put some more restorations up here. So nothing that you see in the shop here has been restored yet. Nothing. So this is all stuff that is still on the list. I know many of you have asked, hey, Paul, when are you going to do a television? Well, I picked up a couple here not long ago as well. So here's 3 Motorola units, and they have the 7JP4 CRT in them. So that should be a fun little restoration, or maybe even just a resurrection. So resurrections go pretty quick, just to see if we can get them going. Another neat old television to do there. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you've seen this one before. And this one here, and this one, and this one. And I have some at the old lab that you've never seen as well. Some big bakelite televisions in a Zenith porthole and all that kind of stuff, which will also be resurrections in the future. So all of you that are into restoring televisions and that kind of stuff, you'll see a television get restored or resurrected in Mr. Carlson's lab style. If you like television restorations and you're looking for channels and you haven't found any that you like, try Shango066. He does resurrections and restorations, and same with B. Anderson TV. He's also here on YouTube. Those two are great channels for watching restorations and resurrections alike. So anyways, lots of projects here. Lots of stuff to do. None of these scopes have been restored, plugins either, or anything like that. So there's lots and lots of projects here to do yet. So many people have asked about this thing here. I've had all sorts of strange questions about this thing. What is that? That thing looks like a baby incubator or something. No, it's not. So this thing here is known as a media blaster or Sandblaster, if that's a real common term that people use. So this has got garnet in it, and it's used for you basically taking crushed garnet, and it pressures it out of a nozzle using compressed air from a compressor over here. And you can blast metal surfaces, take paint off and rust off and things like that. And you look through that little window there, and it has gloves and a vacuum on the back so that you don't breathe all the dust. It separates the dust so that it doesn't come out of there. So I've heard of some pretty scary stories of people just getting normal sand and trying to use normal sand. Don't ever do that, because you'll give yourself silicosis. So don't do that. So it's amazing how many people have just done that. So even when I use this, on top of the filtering, I still wear a mask on my face just to be careful, because you're opening the door up, and then whatever you're blasting, whether it's paint or something, you don't want to breathe the dust from that old paint or anything. So just some things to keep in mind if you ever use one of these things. They're pretty foolproof. Just have to use a bit of common sense when you're using them, that's all. So why do I have 3 welding machines? People ask me. Well, they're not all welding machines. 2 of them are, but at any rate. So this one here is a TIG welder and an arc welder. This one here is a MIG welder, and this is a plasma cutter, and that's what they are. So 3 machines right there. And of course, the very first welding machine that I ever owned back there. So it didn't work very good when I got it, so I added a couple of transformers and rewound the transformer and did things like that, and it worked pretty good as an arc welder after that. I did that when I was like, I don't know, 16, 17. So little project there. Used parts and pieces out of old ham transmitters and things like that. Works really good. Still works good to this day. I could never let it go. It just has nostalgic, I guess, feeling to it. So we get more power outages at this place than I care to even mention. And so bad that I'm almost tempted to walk around with a flashlight in my pocket in the shop all the time. So I have a bunch of generators here. So this is a 15 kilowatt, but it's basically 12 kilowatts running. And a lot of different generator manufacturers just buy this shell and put their name on it. So King just happened to put their name on this one right here. And it's pretty good. It's been very dependable, has quite a bit of time on it. Doesn't knock, doesn't sound like it's going to drop a valve or anything like that. So it's pretty good. Been a pretty dependable machine, but it's not big enough to run everything in here at once. So I'm going to probably have to get a larger diesel unit. This is the backup to the backup. So if this ever went down, this is enough to keep the fridges and the lights on. And of course, I'd have to use the fireplaces. If I turned the geothermal system on, that thing would emit smoke. So not a good thing. So that's just bare minimum. So way back in the day, I used to be into small engines. This is well before YouTube. And I managed to find this little lawnmower here locally, a little 2-stroke lawnmower. That might make a fun restoration down the road. So for all of you that are into electronics and small engines, because many of you are, you might be interested in seeing that. You can leave that in the comments as well. I've rebuilt so many small engines, I can't even count. So IEL Pioneer saws, Clinton lawnmowers, Lawson, Tecumseh, Briggs and Stratton, you name it. The list goes on and on and on. So I've had so many different little engines that I've done, and I found it a lot of fun way back in the day. So that was something that I did way back when. So back when I was a young lad. Yeah, there we go. So that's what's in the shop here. I hope you enjoyed. And I've got lots more videos coming. Lots of restorations. As I say, nothing in here has been restored. And, oh, those are all vacuum tubes, by the way. They're not really sorted, but I remember what's in the boxes, so that works for me. But one day I'll go through and actually make it easier for me to get at, so I don't have to climb a ladder and go to a certain box and get the things. But anyways, there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, let me know by leaving a comment or give me a thumbs up or whatever. And don't forget to subscribe. I have an ongoing electronics course on Patreon as well, where I share my inventions and designs there. So if you're into electronics and you're all about electronics like I am, check that out. I'll put the link just below the video's description under the Show More tab, and I'll share the link at the top of the comments section. So click on the link, it'll take you right there. All right, until next time, everybody take care. Bye for now.